on Denver 7. Record-breaking heat.
As Denver hits triple digits for the second time this season, we have everything you need to know about keeping cool in the summer heat.
I never doubted that we would ever sell this property or doubted that we would rebuild here. We've been committed to rebuilding it ever since.
Plus, 6 months later, some Marshall Fire victims are now beginning to rebuild. Getting their homes back is just one of the many challenges ahead.
Just to see the support today was everything. And again, it's only the beginning.
Five life, five power!
In Colorado, protesters are still marching to support abortion rights, while organizers say they're just getting started. We start out with breaking news. I-25 is back open in northern Colorado after a brush fire shut it down for several hours this afternoon. Now, this happened about 6 miles north of Wellington. Crews say the fire was 100 acres at one point, but now they're working on extinguishing the remaining hotspots. About 15 people were evacuated and no structures were threatened.
And this is a sign of just how dry and also hot it is out there. We want to get right over to meteorologist Stacey Donaldson now, who is tracking record-breaking heat today. Stacey?
That's right. We made it to 100 degrees today, which is a record breaker. The previous record, 98, set back in 1903. Now, our average high is only 90 degrees this time of year, where we should be in July, but instead we're about 10 degrees above that. 104 for Fort Collins today, 100 for Greeley, and 102 for Sterling. Triple digits and 90s across eastern Colorado, even 90s in the mountains from Steamboat to Eagle. So it's been a hot day statewide. We have been under a heat advisory, and that extends until 8 p.m. tonight for the Denver area all the way up into northeastern Colorado. So it's going to continue to be warm here for a few more hours. We also have a few isolated thunderstorms popping up, some down into southern Colorado, but this one near Deer Trail still holding together as it's moving to the south, but not a lot of support for this storm as it's moving through very dry conditions across eastern Colorado. Our forecast for the rest of the night, staying warm all the way through 10 p.m. We'll stay in the 80s through midnight with partly cloudy skies, and we're in store for more triple-digit heat. I'll let you know what tomorrow holds coming up.
All right, Stacey, we'll hear more from you later. Thank you. Several emergency cooling centers are open across the Denver Metro this weekend. In Aurora, they are at the Central Public Library, the Hoffman Library, Martin Luther King Jr. Library, and the Aurora Day Resource Center. Those are open 10 to 6 today and tomorrow, except for the Day Resource Center, which is open 7:30 to 4. In Denver, all recreation centers will be open this weekend to serve as cooling centers. The city will also open a few public library branches if the rec centers run out of space. For a full list of cooling centers in Denver Metro, visit our website, thedenverchannel.com.
And if you're trying to beat the heat at home, Xcel Energy has these tips for keeping your house cool and your energy bill low. Keep blinds and curtains closed to keep the heat out. Make sure any exterior doors are closed to keep air conditioning inside. Also run ceiling fans instead of your AC to keep rooms cool while using less energy. And finally, get your AC coils cleaned to improve efficiency and cut down on energy costs.
And we're not the only ones under a major heat wave today. More than 50 million people across the southeast are expected to see higher than usual temperatures, including Houston, Austin, and San Antonio. Those are areas where they will see highs of 90-degree and in some cases over 100-degree weather. Authorities also remind people to check in on friends and relatives, especially elderly ones, when the heat gets this excessive.
Despite the heat, Aurora will only have 3 of its public pools open this weekend, and those are with limited hours. The Del Mar pool, you can see it there, it's the only one open both Saturday and Sunday. Meadow Hills is open just for today, and Park Lane will only be open tomorrow. The rest of the pools are closed because the city is short about 50 lifeguards.
If we were to be fully staffed, which we're hoping to in the next couple of weeks or so, then all of those pools, hypothetically, so again, hopefully, right, would be open to full capacity and full hours.
Now, as for Denver pools, all outdoor public pools will be open this weekend, but the city had to close 6 indoor pools to make that happen because Denver is also short on lifeguards.
All right, an important note here. If you can't get to a pool, you might be thinking about heading to one of Colorado's many waterways, but after multiple drownings this week, officials are urging everyone to take the necessary steps to stay safe. In Jefferson County, 2 people died this week while tubing in Clear Creek. Officials there are reminding everyone to only tube in designated areas. They're also highlighting the flag warning system, which shows how dangerous the water is at that moment. We spoke to one kayaker who wishes more people would take these warnings seriously.
Almost no one had life jackets on. Almost no one had helmets on. A lot of beers are in people's hands, and like, I get it, it's really fun to drink on a river. But I think a lot of people don't realize that this isn't a whitewater amusement park.
Yeah, you might want to reconsider having those drinks. So far, there have been 23 drownings in Colorado this year. Back in 2020, the state saw a record 34 drownings.
It has been 6 months since the Marshall Fire burned through Boulder County, and for many people, the recovery process is only just now getting started.
One of those recovering victims is Christopher Brenner, a single father and emergency room worker who helped many of the injured victims. As Denver 7's Christian Lopez shows us, he's now one step closer to moving back home.
Coming up on my house only because I can see the basketball hoop down.
In a suburban area like Louisville, I don't think any of us really thought that this could ever happen.
6 months ago, Christopher Benner's world was turned upside down when the Marshall Fire took everything he had built over the past 10 years. It also killed his beloved cat.
This was my house.
And I came back in the early hours the next morning to see that the area was decimated. It was catastrophic, to say the least. I mean, trees were still on fire, gas lines were on fire. It was just like out of a scene in the movies.
Christopher is an emergency worker and search and rescue volunteer. When the chaos broke out in December, he was helping treat an influx of patients coming into the emergency room.
We had a variety of minor injuries and then some major injuries. We did have some individuals with pretty severe burns that were trying to escape from their homes and didn't have that ability to do so. And then there were numerous individuals with semi-minor trauma that had been picked up and either picked up by the wind and thrown or tripped and fell in their efforts to get away from the wildfire.
He said deciding to rebuild in Louisville was an easy decision, especially when it comes to his son Fergus.
This is his first home. This neighborhood, the community is incredibly strong, and it's just a wonderful place to live. So I never doubted that we would ever sell this property or doubted that we would rebuild here. We've been committed to rebuilding ever since.
Looking around, I'm only seeing a handful of houses in this neighborhood that did survive the fire. Most of them were destroyed, but 6 months later, you can see the progress on these lots. Most of them have been cleared out, and Christopher says he's hoping to break ground on his home in just the next few months.
Right now, I've contracted with a builder. They're in the design phases of that. As you can see, the property's been cleaned up at this time, which has been a huge kind of emotional step for us all to see that it's been cleaned up.
For now, Christopher and his son are staying in an apartment in Louisville while they continue rebuilding. He thinks it'll be about another year or so before he and his son are back home.
He has been kind of my pillar of strength. I mean, he's done amazingly well through this. The community has come together so well through this process that I think we'll actually get a stronger community when this is all said and done, as sad as it is.
Reporting in Louisville, Christian Lopez, Denver 7.
They have a long way to go. All right, protesters are criticizing President Biden and his latest executive order today, saying it just doesn't go far enough. The order expands access to medical abortions and emergency contraception. It also strengthens patient privacy laws, adds protections for mobile clinics, and it boosts legal efforts to protect the right to travel out of state for abortions. Still, some say the federal government needs to do more.
I don't think the president is doing enough. I think that we as Americans have to stand up and protest, and then the government will fall in line with that.
This comes as thousands of pro-abortion advocates held a rally in Washington, D.C. today, marching through the streets before ending at the White House.
And look, it's really no surprise that those protests are also happening right here in Colorado.
Denver 7's Patrick Perez is in Boulder, where hundreds took to the streets to have their voices heard.
Today's march took place through downtown Boulder before ending right here at the Boulder County Courthouse. Organizers and those in the crowd say this movement is not dying anytime soon. It is only just beginning.
I dissent, we dissent. I dissent, we dissent.
Hundreds of people marched through the streets of downtown Boulder Saturday in protest of the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade.
Just to see the support today was everything.
Jessica and Rebecca were among the crowd, stunned by the reversal.
Total shock. Total shock and disbelief. Like this couldn't happen. When did this happen? How did this happen?
Saturday's rally happened about 2 weeks since the High Court's decision and follows other rallies around the metro, including Denver's.
Their body
body's their choice! Their body's their choice!
Organizers say the movement isn't slowing down anytime soon.
We're going to keep doing these until we get where we need to be going, which is federal legislation and ensuring that every woman in every state and every pregnant person has the rights that we have right now in Colorado.
Jessica and Rebecca remain hopeful and even have plans to organize their own rallies to get their message across so those who they say need to hear it the most do.
For a while, we're going to swing in this direction, you know, but like a pendulum, it's going to swing back the other way because this is America, and we stand and we believe in personal freedom.
In Boulder, Patrick Perez, Denver 7.
All right, we have several festivals going on this weekend across the Denver Metro. First up is the very delicious Mole Festival in Denver. It's actually part of another larger festival, the 10th annual Frida Kahlo Festival, to celebrate the artist's life and her fight for social justice.
So she wasn't just a painter, she was also a revolutionary. She did a lot of work to fight for like workers' rights, to fight for indigenous rights. So she was very multifaceted in that way.
And then the Mole Festival is going to feature over 30 different types of moles from different community and professional chefs. So a good mix of people from here in Westwood and also businesses in this community as well.
And the Mole Festival will include Frida's own recipe for mole. There will also be music vendors, cultural performances. Both of these festivals going on today in Denver's Westwood neighborhood near Morrison and Alameda until 8.
So much fun. All right, meantime, a big art festival is kicking off this weekend in Golden. More than 70 artists are set up to show off their work at Arts Week Golden.
We've got a wide variety of stuff. From painting to mixed media, functional pottery, functional woodworking, all at different price points. It's in beautiful downtown Golden, Colorado. So just park your car and you can walk pretty much everywhere.
Bet those folks are having a lot of fun. The festival is over for today, but it will be open from 10 to 5 tomorrow. There's also a kids area where they can also work on their own art pieces to take home.
A lot going on this weekend in Colorado. All right, still to come, memorial services are underway for the victims of the Highland Park mass shooting. So see how the community is saying goodbye as survivors face a difficult road to recovery.
Plus, another chance for Denver residents to get an e-bike discount voucher when the program will start accepting applications again next.